Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine, and this week it's still mostly about the ice. Some open water options are opening up though as we speak, and some of the Rhode Island headboats headed south of Block Island this week. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
So before we begin, I want to remind everybody that the contest for the rat swim bait is ongoing. All you need to do is send in a recent photo that kind of shows that you've been out fishing in the wintertime, and that'll enter you into the contest. I'm going to pick my favorite of all of them to win one of these. I'll let you pick the color, but it'll be just like this one. And the other pictures that you guys send me will be used in the magazine over the next couple of months, and I'll be honored to share this with somebody, and really hope that it will catch some fish for you. They're definitely a cool bait, and they definitely have a nice action to them. And hey, they might catch the biggest largemouth of your life. Only time will tell. So ice fishing, as I was saying, it's kind of just taking over the world right now. I was talking to my friend Rob Taylor, Captain Rob. He's up in Maine this week, fishing on Sebago Lake and on Moosehead, and he said the bite has just been off the charts amazing. They got some, sort of medium-sized pike. They got a bunch of lake trout. They got some smallmouth, and they got some exceptional largemouth, including one that was about 7.5 pounds. They were catching all these fish on jigs, and he said one of the most effective lures they were using was a rattle trap. In fact, that's how they got that big bass and some of the other smallies as well. As you move kind of south and west from there, you're getting into New Hampshire, and the results are about the same. Very good trout fishing on many of the lakes in southern New Hampshire. Good results on bass as well. And then as we tumble into Massachusetts, the reports only get more robust. There seems to be even more participation, or at least we're getting more reports. We're hearing about lots of panfish. We're hearing about some really nice pike, big pickerel, nice bass. It really seems like everybody I talk to that has been out on the ice fishing has just been crushing it. And as we've been doing for the last few weeks, we're going to throw it over to Roy Leva. He's going to give us a little rundown of what he's been seeing in interior Massachusetts this week.
Hey Dave, this week's report comes to you from right on the ice. Out here in western Mass, we've got anywhere from 10 to 16 inches, and the wind has actually blown a lot of the snow off the ice. It's a little bit slippery, so you got to be careful coming on out, but the jigging's been great. We're on. The jigging's been really good. A lot of good-sized panfish, which I can't get away from. That seems to be the way. Some really nice yellows. So yeah, get out there, go enjoy.
Thanks, Roy. Really appreciate you participating in our forecast. I think it really adds something, and I hope we can continue. As you head from interior Massachusetts down toward the Cape, the ice becomes a little bit more suspect. It seems like on that northern end, on the Cape Cod Bay side of things, from Scituate down to Plymouth and then right up to the canal, you're finding a little bit more reliable ice. But if you're on the other side of 195, from New Bedford to Mattapoisett up to Wareham, the ice is a little more suspect. Guys are still getting out though, and results have been good. We're hearing about lots of bass and big pickerel. That area seems to be a hotbed for big pickerel, trust me. And then some good catches of trout too from some of the stocked ponds. As you cross the canal though, the ice becomes even more suspect. In fact, if it were me, probably not walking on a Cape Pond right now. Maybe one of the real small ones. Any of those bigger ponds, with all the wind and all the rain and the warmer than normal weather that we've had over the last week or so, has really taken its toll on the ice out there. And the shops I talked to kind of made it sound like it was either over or about to be over. I'm really expecting by this time next week, at least I feel like there's a better than 50% chance that we'll be talking about open water fishing on Cape Cod again. But only time will tell, so we'll have to see. No saltwater reports at all from Massachusetts, which isn't really a surprise. But that'll change when we move over into Rhode Island. So over in Rhode Island, some of the headboats did make a few trips last week. We had some nice warmer weather. We had a few days that weren't too crazy windy, so these guys put together a crew and off they went. The consensus seems to be that it was tough. It's a little tough out there. And they're making long runs to find the fish. They're heading to the south side of Cox's, and they're heading beyond that. That's a long ride. But if it's a flat day and it's decent out, that's not too bad. And the bite's been so-so. They're getting some cod, they're getting some hake, they're getting the very occasional pollock, and lots of choggies. The positives in that are that you're getting out on the water, you're definitely going to catch some fish, and you're going to go home with enough fillets to throw together a pot of chowder or something like that. The downside maybe just that it's a long ride and that the bite hasn't really come up to what everybody hoped it would. But keep an eye on their web pages, and keep an eye here, of course, and as things progress, maybe the bite will fire up a little closer to home, and maybe they could put together a whole bunch of trips going through the end of February and into March. Only time will tell on that. On the freshwater side of things, I did hear some decent reports from Rhode Island ice fishing wise. I talked to Gil Bell, a longtime subscriber, and he said that he did really well on some of the South County ponds for crappie this week. I also talked to Lawrence Thompson. He's a longtime subscriber as well and regular contributor to the reports. And he said they hit a couple different ponds in the same region, and they found good perch, a couple big pickerel, and some nice crappie as well. Both of these guys were doing more of their damage on jigs, tipped with mealworms or things like that, but throwing some tip-ups down is producing some of the pickerel, and I've also heard about some inland fishing in Rhode Island where guys have been getting some nice largemouth bass. No reports of holdover stripers in Rhode Island this week. I think really it's just a matter of ice. I think a lot of those areas are still skimmed over. They're not safe enough to walk on, and there's too much ice to make even trying with a rod and reel worth it. So we have to wait at least another week before we hear some striper reports from Rhode Island. And in Connecticut, it's everything seems to be centered around that Connecticut River ice fishing bite. Whether you're chasing calicos and perch, or whether you're chasing pike, pickerel, bass, or the occasional striped bass, that seems to be where everyone's focusing their efforts. And this year seems to be at least above average for pike results. I got this really awesome shot here from James Jones. Really impressive fish. I mean, that fish is over 40 inches and well over 20 pounds. In fact, he said that he did the math on the length girth, and the formula put it at a little over 25 pounds, but whether it's 23 or 28, it doesn't even matter. I mean, that's an impressive fish, and you may not know it, but this guy's been putting in his time this year and putting up some serious fish. But it's not all on the Connecticut River, so the coves of the Connecticut River are producing a wide array of species and very popular places to fish, but places like Bantam Lake, another very productive spot for pike. You can look on Deep's website to find out where else there are pike in the state. Then there's also the sea forellins, and I have a really nice shot here from Adam Ruff. This is a sea forellin brown that was caught in either Cedar Lake or Black Pond. I can't remember which. This fish is just under 12 pounds. It was 11.63 pounds if my memory serves. That's a seriously impressive fish. And the thing you have to remember, again, Deep's website has all the details on where these things were stocked. They were recently stocked. They're actually stocked through the ice. And so these fish haven't smartened up yet. They haven't seen a lot of lures dragged across their noses yet. So if you go in and put your time there, you had a really good chance at getting some of these fish, and some of the ones that they put in were a good bit larger than the one that I just showed you. So you're putting in your time on those lakes. You're going to find hungry fish that, again, they haven't smartened up yet. Very good shot at getting a good fish in those areas. Something else that's kind of exciting that's coming out of Connecticut right now is that we're starting to see some open water fishing on the rivers again. And we're going to throw it over to Derek from Connecticut Fish Guides. He's going to give us a rundown of what's going on the Farmington this week.
Hey Dave, coming here from the Farmington River for a quick report. We recently broken through this cold weather pattern that we've had for a few weeks, and with the increase in flows recently from the rainstorm that we had, that cleared out a lot of the shelf ice on the Farmington. If you're headed out, you still need to be careful of broken ice coming down the river. So be wary of that. That can be really dangerous. You don't want to push wading or anything like that this time of year. It's still really cold out. Have extra pairs of clothing in the car. And recently the bite windows have been kind of small. You get temperature spikes on your clear days where the sun can penetrate. Overcast days can be a little slower, but fishing streamers and some larger meals are probably a better idea. When you have bugs, be on the lookout for midges. We have some early stones in the mix. Those are around a 14 to a 16. And subsurface, on your sunnier days, you could see your ephemerella nymphs that are active, like your Hendricksons. So streamer fishing and nymphing are probably going to be your two mainstays, but don't rule out dry fly. And as time progresses here, you're probably going to see some heads if you're in the slower, deeper refuge pools. Good luck to anyone headed out, and back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Derek. Great insights there, and also, good stuff on the cautionary points about the ice coming down the river. As far as holdover stripers go, really not a lot going on. I think that you could really just blame that totally on the fact that there's a lot of ice problems right now. So the Housatonic, the upper portion of the Housatonic are skimmed over. Many of the other rivers and coves where guys get them throughout the state are also skimmed over. So we're just going to have to wait another week, just like in Rhode Island, or at least another week before we start seeing regular reports coming in of stripers being caught, or winter rover stripers being caught. And that's the story that I have for you guys this week. Hopefully you find it helpful. I want to remind everybody, if you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman, to head over to the website. We've got a lot of free content there. You'll see what we got to offer. We have reports that cover down East Maine all the way to Delaware. We have articles and videos and columns that cover all of that area in between. And we cover a wide array of fishing disciplines, from fly to inshore, offshore, surf, freshwater, and lots of niche fisheries too, like swim baiting, center pinning, and even microfishing. So head on over to the website, check us out there. If you're still not interested, at least give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube, and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification when we post something new. But I'm really hoping that this will be the year that, if you're not a subscriber, that you decide to take the plunge. I think you'd be happy with the result. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.